Hi everyone, it's Thomas here from LocalBitcoins. I'm going to just give you hopefully a brief video here just to give you an introduction on how to make a trade and eliminate some of the confusion so that you can get into the process of getting yourself some Bitcoin. When you first come to the website and you've signed up, I'm assuming that you've already got your account set up. If you haven't, we've got a video for that. But I'm going to assume that you've got your account set up. So up in the corner here, this is a link to your wallet. In this case here, I've got 0.03 Bitcoin in it. A little talk bubble, that's where you're going to get messages from either if you sign on and there's a trade message waiting for you, or if there's a support message, that kind of thing. The other ones are obvious across the top. So if you don't already see it, click on Buy Bitcoins and you're going to get a little sampling of the ads. A couple of different payment types. In this case here, we've picked a few. I already set my location for, I believe it was Portland, Oregon. At the bottom of the Buy Bitcoins page or Sell Bitcoins page, you can set your location. So if you're using, if for some reason it's showing up as the wrong country or city, you can just go down there and change it there. But for this, these are the sample of the ads. So you see there's a couple of MoneyGram, a couple of postal order, Western Union. There's way more options than that though. Okay, so if you already know how you want to pay, let's say you want to pay with an option like MoneyGram, then you go down here and you click on Show More, and then you're going to get a list of all the different options. Okay, so in this case here, I'm going to go to MoneyGram, and now I'm only going to see MoneyGram ads. And I'm only going to see MoneyGram ads that kind of apply to me. Okay, so buy Bitcoins online with MoneyGrams, and so then we're looking at here. So now I'm going to quickly explain what you're actually looking at. First thing here is obviously the username. Okay, so under seller, this is the person's username. In this case, his username is plebes-mx. Inside the brackets, it says 70 plus. That means he's got 70 or more, and by more we only mean 5 or 10, so we just sort of round it. 70 plus confirmed trades. He's got 100% positive feedback, so that's good. You can read up on his feedback and stuff later by visiting his profile page, but generally it's a good idea. You know that he's got some experience under his belt. 70 trades, 100% feedback, good stuff. Next, the description. This can contain other things, but for the most part, when people put an ad up, they pretty much just put the payment type in there. If it's a more specific, let's say like a bank deposit or something like that, they might put in the description CIBC teller deposit or something, or TD America visit the bank deposit, that kind of thing. But it's just a general description. This is the next column is the one that tends to confuse people. Hopefully I can clear it up. Price/BTC is just the base price for one Bitcoin. So if we move off the idea of Bitcoin and we just talk about, let's say, groceries. If you go to a grocery store and you're going to buy a pound of ground beef, I don't have any idea how much it costs, but let's just say for the sake of argument it costs $4 a pound. Okay? Well, another store it might be $3.95 a pound. Another store it might be $4.75 a pound. It doesn't mean that you're obligated to buy a pound of uh, ground beef. You could buy 5 pounds if they allow it, or you could buy 1,000 pounds if they allowed, or you could buy half a pound if they allowed. The key is that you know from store to store what they're basically charging you, because one's $4.75 a pound, one's $4 a pound, one's $3.75 a pound, so you know already. Okay, so in this case here, we're talking about Bitcoin. So we're just talking about the base price for one complete Bitcoin. So in the case of the first guy here, his price for one Bitcoin is 282.17. Okay, so then as we go down, you see 290, 291. The prices vary. Each seller is allowed to set their own price. We don't, interfere with that. So it's a good idea to shop around. If you might see a great deal and you go, holy cow, his price/BTC is twice as much though as everybody else. So you might have you scratching your head a little bit. That price is locked in. You can't open up a trade and negotiate a different price or anything like that. So that's what you're committing to if you ever open a trade. The next thing is the limits. So you notice in this guy here, his limit's 825 to 995. So in other words, if one Bitcoin is 282, but his limits are 825 to 995, you can't just buy one Bitcoin, right? Because the limits is how much he's willing to accept in currency from you in the trade. So another case here, 825. So we're going to click on buy, but you're not actually committing to buy. You're just going to actually open up the ad. Okay, so I'm going to click on buy. So now, let's say I only wanted one Bitcoin, right? And I put it in here. Well, you'll notice that the price is red. And the reason the price is red, you can't open a trade for that little. Okay, the minimum you can open up a trade is 825. So in other words, even though its base price, to give you an idea how much per Bitcoin it is 282. If I put in 825, the minimum you can buy off this fellow is 2.92 Bitcoin. Okay, so that's what price slash BTC means, and that's what the trade limits mean. Okay, there's his location. Now, this is really important. Okay, you see that? 180-minute payment window. That's your window. That's not his. Okay, that's the window that you have, excuse me, to open up a trade, chat with him, get the information. A lot of times they give a bunch of the information over here, but when it comes to options like MoneyGram, under the terms, it's pretty unlikely he's going to indicate in the terms where you're going to be sending the money as far as the name and the city and stuff like that, because they have their own reasons, but they want the trade to be open first. So basically, let's say I had put in 825. Then when I'm ready to open the trade, I could throw in a little note here, especially if you're new. You might want to basically send a note that just says, hi, I'm new. Uh, help me out, please. And once you click that green button there that says send trade request, what happens is he can't even have this ad without having at least $995 worth of Bitcoin ready to go in his LocalBitcoins wallet the moment of the trade. Okay, so you can't just say, oh, I'll sell you 5 Bitcoins, and then you don't have the Bitcoins to sell. They actually have to have it in their wallet here at LocalBitcoins. The moment that you send in that trade request, we take, let's say we did it for 825. We take this much Bitcoin from his wallet and we hold it. And we hold it for this payment window. This way you're protected. Okay, so let's say that you're on your way to Western Union or MoneyGram or wherever to pay. He can't cancel this trade in that 180 minutes. That Bitcoin is staying with us in protection for you for that 180 minutes. Okay, so that's how long you have to say hello, exchange some pleasantries, get the name where you have to send, ask any questions, that kind of thing, and make the payment. So once you make the payment, you have to let us know that you've paid him. And by doing it, you'll see there's a button and it's blue. I'm not going to open up a trade because I don't know this person. And there's a button and it says mark trade as complete, or pardon me, not mark trade, mark payment as complete. That's not saying that he paid you. That's saying that you paid him. So depending on the region you're in and the language translation, it might say something like mark payment as complete or mark payment as paid. But that's all that button is. You're not, at no point are you telling us you've been paid in Bitcoin from him. You never have to indicate that to us. All that page, when you have the trade open, is you letting us know, okay, I paid this guy, right? So when you do that, this timer on the 180 minutes, it stops, okay? And once you've pressed it, that Bitcoin is locked into escrow now. It can't go anywhere now until a couple of things happen. Either the seller confirms that he's been paid, and then he indicates to us, okay, release the escrow. Or the seller says, I haven't been paid, and so we can intervene in the trade. We have a process called a dispute. After 6 hours, we can get involved with the trade and help you guys resolve it. But he can't just basically say, you know what, cancel this trade. I want my Bitcoin back. That doesn't work like that. Okay, you've paid. You've told us you've paid. We're holding on to that Bitcoin. That's the whole idea here, is to protect you. So the key now for you to understand, though, is you have to do your part. And your part is, A, read the terms of the trade. Some guys have different rules. You might be sending the money to another country. They might want it sent in their currency or your currency, or they might want you to include a note when you send a Western Union or MoneyGram. With some guys have at the bottom of once you open the trade, there's a reference number. They might want the reference number. Clear up the rules with them if you have any questions, but just make sure you follow them. It's really not that complicated, especially once you've done 1 or 2 trades. But the first time it can be a little bit overwhelming. It's not. Trust me. So, as a buyer, this is the most important thing to understand, okay? Make sure that and you can't even open a trade, by the way, if it's less than their amount anyway. If I try to open up a trade for $100, I'm going to get an error message, right? See? Amount must be at least 100. Amount must be 825. Okay, so it's got to be in that range. As soon as I put that in, I know how much I'm getting. Okay, so that's what I'm committing to. So you can't come back later on and go, hey, I spent 825 and I only got 2.92. It's right there on the screen. That's what you're committing to. Okay, so that's it. You find a good buyer. You go back over here, browse around the ads. You don't necessarily have to commit. If it's a popular payment method like MoneyGram or Western Union and stuff like that, there's lots of ads to browse through, right? So consider what works for you. Is the price decent? Is it within my limit? Is it the right method? Is the guy online or recently online? That's really it. Okay? The key is press that button when you make the trade after you've paid them. Don't press it before, okay? Because that's being dishonest and you're breaking the rules of the trade. But that's it. You browse through it, find an ad, put in how much you want to buy, introduce yourself, hi, and then there's the chat box will appear within the trade, and you guys can talk back and forth. They're not sitting here staring at the screen sometimes, so that you might have to wait a little bit before. And if you go offline or if you close your browser or whatever, you should get a notification via email. There might be a slight delay on it, but you should get a notification if they send you a message, and you can sign back into the site and chat with them. Okay, so that's it. Enjoy your first trade. And if you have any questions, open up a support ticket. If Live Help's available, go into Live Help and ask any questions. But other than that, this should give you a good idea as to how to make your first trade. Thanks for joining Local Bitcoins, and have a great day.